Thanks everybody for joining. Really, over the past 6 years, we've learned something very interesting. Advisors, they don't need better marketing. They need the right combination of strategy, execution, and technology. And that's why we built the Fractional Marketing Manager model. We wanted someone who ultimately could own the day-to-day marketing, so advisors didn't have to juggle the agency, the freelancer, and the software. Then AI came in, right? It changed everything. It made execution faster for everybody. But it also made one thing very incredibly clear. Strategy became something more valuable. And so today on the call I have with me is Olivia. We're going to have a fun conversation, really just talking about AI, talking about Azella's new platform, talking about Olivia joining Azella as our fractional chief marketing officer to be able to help advisors. Thanks for joining.
Yes, it's so awesome. I'm so excited to be a part of Azella AI and what Azella is doing for advisors in 2026 and beyond. You and I have been friends for years, and I've seen you do so many great things that this one really takes the cake. I'm really excited to be a part of it. The advisors really are never seen anything like this out there on the market, so it's worth sharing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I kind of, wrote a post about this the other day. I've been doing this for a while. And one of the challenging things that I started running into is that I couldn't be everywhere, right? I couldn't be, leading strategy. I couldn't be doing the work. I couldn't be, trying to grow the business at the same time. I needed to bring in other experts who've been in the space for a while, people that I trust, people that other advisors trust, and that are industry leaders to come in and help from a strategic perspective and help our clients, right? And help each other's clients, with what's needed right now. With our fractional marketing manager model, it's been a game changer. We actually built it based off of all of our clients' feedback. They didn't really like all of the email communications that were going back and forth. And so we were like, hold on, let's kind of rework, right? The way agencies should really be working with their clients. And the more we did that, obviously I got busier and it was like, I need some people who can focus on strategy. So let's dive in, Olivia, and kind of talk a little bit more about, your background as a fractional chief marketing officer and your experience and what you've seen working with advisors and some of the things that they just struggle with.
Yeah, definitely. So to go to your point, a lot has happened since I came into the industry. Used to be a full-on agency owner just like you, and got pulled in a lot of different directions. I was trying to work on the business. I was trying to land new business and keep the pipeline full, also while managing my team and growing, right? And a lot can happen behind the scenes that falls through the cracks, all of these things. And my fatal flaw was that I tried to do too much for too many too fast, right? And at the end of the day, I had to really look at myself and say, Olivia, what is the value that you add? And my value and the reason people kept paying me year over year over year wasn't because I had pretty deliverables or because I had the best one singular LinkedIn post that went viral. It was because I was able to make high level executive decisions about strategy that were ultimately not being able to be answered by technology or perhaps someone with just not as much experience in the industry. And if you would have asked me in 2018, Olivia, do you think you know as much as the people who have been in the industry 2, 3, 5 years? My little green butt might have been like, yeah, sure, I'll figure it out. But the fact of the matter is that there's no replacement for time and experience in the industry. When
Yes.
you've seen advisory firms from startups with negative dollars to multi-billion dollar RIAs spending $500,000 in marketing ads, Facebook ads every month, to all across the board. We've got international finance, domestic, US based, Canadian based. Like, I feel like the amount of exposure that I had in that time really primed me for this era that we're in, where we have these great technologies that can improve our efficiency and productivity. But now I have this experience that I've gained over the past 8 years to be able to put that hands-on human element on the decisions that
Yes.
AI really just cannot replicate. And I did have an advisor recently who did a webinar on AI made me a financial plan. And the key takeaway for her clients, which is the same key takeaway here, is that level of discernment, right?
Yes.
I have seen the pattern. I have been in it. I have seen
Yes.
the advisor who's, in tears because everything just feels too heavy. I've seen the advisor who has spent months inside of ChatGPT just racking their brain and trying to get to
Yep.
their marketing message only to feel like they're in a complete hall of mirrors and everything is distorted and now they're just more lost than when they
Yes.
started. And that's really frustrating because I think that as marketers, we were on the front lines of AI and we really got in and we tried it. We tried everything. We said, what is AI chat good for? What is Claude good for? What is this good? What can you do
Yes.
with this? Right. And we for that reason, we were able to see before the rest of the market, the financial advisor market, got to that stage, what the limitations of AI were and where the human is necessary.
Yeah. No, and I love that. Like let's talk a little bit more about that, right? Because right now I think we're in this AI this, right? Use ChatGPT for this, use Copilot for this, right? Like we're like in this world of like scale, like use AI to scale and to do all of these things. But at the same time, it's not able to do it in the ways that people think it can, right? You start running basic AI prompts, right? Like that's kind of like the first level of like asking it basic questions where people are using it like it's Google, right? And it's
Mhm.
pulling back an answer. And then some people get a little bit more sophisticated, right? Where they, may build a project in ChatGPT or Gem and Gemini, right? But
Mhm.
there's so much more to it than that. And what concerns me right now is like all the noise that's out there. And so advisors are buying into platforms, into products, like you just pointed out and alluded to. They're wasting a lot of time, right? And it's making them even more confused. I was talking with an advisor, and he was like, "I'm not. I'll be flat out honest with you. I've spent months racking my brain on ChatGPT because all the ideas are great, all these things are cool, and I'm not getting anywhere. Right?
Right,
Like
right.
it's this fatigue that I'm facing right now.
Literally just endless distortion. And I said Hall of Mirrors, but the literary term is a mise en beam, mise en beam. And it literally is the endless distortion that you see in a Hall of Mirrors. Each time you get deeper into the prompt, and AI is there to I'm sorry, but it's there to help you. It's there to serve you. So it doesn't have that kind of fiduciary level of thinking that's like, hey, David, no, you are going way down this Alice in a Wonderland rabbit hole. You should have been out of here 3 hours ago.
Yes.
Let's get our life together, get back on track. And that's really the problem because the ideas are great. And it's like, wow. And then we start ideating and like we have all these thought bubbles going around our brain. But then it's like, where's the trajectory? Where are we going? What is this what is this activity that we're doing going to yield? Like, what's the point of any of the things that you're doing? And I think that that's where people really, really get lost in the strategy front. And then in the branding front, same thing. They get all
Yeah.
these cool ideas about how they can express themselves and whatever, but it's really hard for you when you're in the middle of it to see that through line. Like, what is the real message here? What is the real story about why your advisory firm is great for helping homeschooling families? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so in terms of helping us with speed, with proximity. Oh, that's something I want to talk about, which I think Azella AI does really, really well of capturing. You mind if I go into that?
Yeah. Let's dive into it.
Okay, so what I really love about AI is that in 2018, when I started in this industry, and then 2020, 2021, when we evolved into a full-blown agency, marketing is death by a thousand cuts. You to upload a YouTube video requires 50 steps. And if you don't do it every day, those 50 steps, you have to learn it. And then as a marketer, you have to write a process for it so you don't personally miss it and multiply that by every single thing. YouTube, podcast, compliance, blog, LinkedIn, blah, 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 right? And then it's got to go through
Yes.
compliance and then it's got to get scheduled and it's got to get tracked and monitored and all of these things, right? And you used to have to go into all these different platforms with Azella AI. What my personal favorite thing about it is that those integrations are already in there. YouTube, RSS feed, no more logging into SoundCloud, no more logging separately into YouTube Studio, X, Y, and Z. You have a real true home hub for all of those items that have to do with your marketing plan in one place. And I don't know of another product out there that offers that with such a robust and deep level of detail as the Azella AI program does.
Yeah, I mean, so for Azella, like, and those who know us, I mean, we spent years on the service side of the business, right? And we did that very intentionally. We wanted to understand what were the needs for an actual advisor, right? And what were all the things that they were doing manually? What were all the challenges they were running into? And even for us internally, right? What were those challenges that we were running into that was creating those friction points or making it harder for us to get things done or taking longer than it really should be. And so when we built the platform, that was really what we want to have top of mind. What are those things that we can make more efficient? We used to in WordPress, like we would build out the full integration that would then go, reach for a YouTube API or a podcast API. And then there would be complications with that because the plugin wasn't updated, right?
Yeah.
You run into all of these challenges. And so, we went straight to YouTube. We went straight to the podcast platforms so that we could integrate directly inside of our platform. Not only that, is that, right now, Google and with this whole AI thing, like it's really trying to catch duplicates. So if you actually go and you have something on YouTube and you just go duplicate it on your website, what's going to show up is only one or the other. It's not going to show up both, right? And so one of the things that the platform does is instead of just pulling in a raw transcript, right? It's going to take that transcript, translate it into an article, and make it something that's more engaging for somebody to actually read.
Yes. And I can't tell you, I mean, I think that people underestimate, and this is just kind of a sidebar, how much those supplementary pieces of material matter in your marketing because not everybody in your target audience digests information the same way. So you
Yes.
want to be able to have your YouTube video available as a video with captions. You also want to be able to have a blog on it. And the AI is able to take what used to be 6 hours of work and turn, it into two, reduce it by at least 50 to 60%, I would say, once, you actually work with it. And if you can reduce the number of the friction points in your
Yes.
marketing, you
Yes.
are going to get where you want to be faster, end of story, period. But
Yep.
before that, also, and this is like really how my brand has evolved, is because I did the same thing you did. I said, what did I do wrong? When I did worked with my agency clients. And over again, I came to the same conclusion that there was not enough hands-on human pre-marketing work done. There was not enough brand and messaging architecture built before we started implementing, which made everything we did like 100 times harder. So now we have the benefit of knowing that yes, there needs to be a human involved with branding. There needs to be a human involved with high level strategy. There needs to be a human involved in executive level decisions. And we can also improve our workflows by using AI to help with the speed and efficiency of the other tasks that aren't necessarily needing that higher cognitive level skill.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's talk a little bit more on that speed and efficiency. So, a lot of people don't know this about me. I didn't start out in financial services, right? And I actually never wanted to be in financial services when I was doing marketing and building website and SEO optimization because I thought two things about financial services. One, I thought it was a very boring industry. And then two, they were always behind from a technology standpoint.
Yeah.
And so when I first got
Always real. It's so true.
Yes. And so when I first got into it, I worked for DST Systems and like I was looking at like the coding and things that they had in place. I was like, man, this is so ancient, right? You guys are so far behind. But actually, it ignited me because I've always had this vision of like making the internet prettier, right? Um,
Yeah.
I'm a creative person by nature, right? I just want things to look cool. I want it to be better, right?
Yeah.
And so when I got into financial services, I was like, this industry needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of help. And that's how I got into it. Is why I got into it. On one front, and because from a technology standpoint, I'm like, what if they were using a lot of the technology when I was, helping construction companies or beauty companies or all the different other industries that I helped out before this. We had such innovation, and I remember my very first job on this side doing marketing. Compliance used to always get onto me, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I
I don't
bet. I bet you
understand
were a
this.
compliance problem.
Yes, I was a compliance problem, man. But I'll never forget. My boss at the time came to me. It was like, David, like I think it's important for you to start to understand this. And so I went to the chief compliance officer. I was like, hey, what do you recommend? Like, what would be the best thing? He was like, just go check out the SEC rules. And that's literally what I did. Like, I spent 2 days. I was like writing stuff down. I was comparing it to stuff that they've approved before and not approved. And I came back and I was like, hey, I have this idea and I want to show you based off of what I read in the SEC and in the marketing rules. And he was like, I'm impressed. Like, you're literally
Yeah.
the first person who actually sat down and read it. But it changed the dynamic of our relationship dramatically. Why? Because he now understood that I cared about the things that he cared about. I wasn't just trying to push a marketing idea, right? And
Yeah.
so with our platform, I wanted to keep compliance in mind, not just in mind. I wanted to be top of mind. Do you want to talk a little bit about like what you've seen with our compliance tool and what you think?
Yeah, but first of all, what I want to say, and the reason that I said that I bet you were a compliance problem is because the word that you use is the word perfect word that comes to mind when I've thought of you over the years, all the times that we've had coffee chats, is innovation. I have never doubted you to be to not be an innovative person. You are always one who has not just ideas, but ideas that actually have legs. You come, prepared, like I've thought this through. Like, look at what I can build. And that is, it's not only inspiring, but it's part of the reason that I'm excited to work with you. So I think that you should take that innovative word and and put it in your pocket and keep it because that really does describe you very well. And it reflects what the products that you've built do as well. And so when you were showing me the platform for the first time, compliance was the first thing that I got excited about. I was like, wow, that's amazing because, you know, specifically as an agency owner, or if you're, let's say you're a financial advisor and you have more than one person on your team, perhaps like a point person in the office who's heading up the marketing and being the point person for Azella or whatever, however your thing works. Um, Sometimes you just need another layer before, it gets to that final review just to be like, does this match my defaults? So I asked David, I said, David, can you upload your own defaults? Like, here's my disclosure. In these
Yes.
circumstances, use this word. And these are, and can you put those in? And he said, yes, of course. And I said, oh, that's it. That's a game changer because if you just have that extra level of review, and it's there, I mean, that's great. What that means to me is that I can push a little further in my creativity, and I know I have another guardrail in place that's going to, keep it before it gets to that final level of approval. So we can be more expansive in our thinking. We can be more expansive in the way that we talk because we know that okay, we have another filter before we're going to get to the end, and
Yep.
for me, that's really liberating. And over the years, with compliance, I will say, when have pushed the creative boundaries, it depends on the department, of course, like
That's
what
right.
compliance department is. Um, but, and for the most part, I feel like when I got in this industry, everybody said, be afraid of compliance, be afraid of compliance, don't touch compliance, blah, blah, blah. And then it turned out to really not too much of a big thing, you know what I mean? And I think that's because I approached it the way that you do, is I approached my content and my copy with compliance in mind,
Yes.
not as an afterthought, And so,
Yeah.
um, I don't think that financial advisors have any excuse not to do great marketing. And I think that the reason that that has nothing to do with compliance is because the reason that I believe financial advisory firms struggle to differentiate themselves is because they're afraid to talk about themselves.
Yep, that's right. Yeah. And I mean, we kind of talked about the technology piece. I mean, obviously that, Azella AI has a lot of capabilities from, building you a website quickly, making it super easy for you to go in and make edits, writing content, doing newsletters, lead generation, all of that's in there in the compliance layer, right? It's super important. But at the end of the day, you still need someone to help. Right? You still need someone to put together a plan. You still need someone to look at your brand. Because I mean, I've worked with a lot of advisors, and a lot of times, they've scribbled something on a napkin, had someone create their logo, and a lot of times they think that that is their brand, right? And your brand is so much more than that,
Or
right? So. Talk a little bit about, we brought you on, right? Because we know you have that vision, right, for the advisor of like, hey, no, it's so much more than that. So talk a little bit more about the brand side, being a chief financial, being the chief marketing officer of like, how does that work, right? What does that look like?
Well, I will say that my approach has really evolved over the years for the very reason that I said about 10 minutes ago, which is that I didn't do the best job that I could. Of course, I didn't know that at the time. You have to fail sometimes in order to realize what you could do better, right? So I was like, okay, this pre-marketing work is really more foundational than I gave it credit for in my early
Yeah.
years. And so when I took my 6 months and I kind of stepped back and I looked at everything, my approach changed a lot. And what I found was the easiest for me was to ask advisors to just think a little bit differently. They're pre-programmed. They've read the Kitsis articles and they've watched the podcast and they've listened to all of the things and they're brilliant, right? They're very
Yep.
smart, competent people. So they absorb it and it's even exciting to some of them. But like, without some sort of bearing, some orientation about how to generate leads, nurture leads, close the deal, where to find the target audience, what they want to hear, what the transformation should look like, without those pieces, there's going to be no movement, right? You might have
Yes.
lily pads, but there's going to be no movement between those lily pads. So, what I've learned is that if I help an advisor to kind of open their mind and not give me pre-programmed answers, what they think that I want them to say, or what they
Yep.
think they learned on the Kitchen podcast, then I say, this is what I tell them. Financial advisor, lovely to meet you. Bienvenidos. Now, as we talk about these things, especially branding, I ask them just like an ink blot test. I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Yes.
I'm going to look at the way your body moves, and I'm going to look at the
Yep.
intonation in your voice. And I liken it a lot of times at financial advisor marketing to being in the Sphere in Las Vegas. And there's images all around, right? There's the origin story of the founder and how he got to here, why he started the business, like how the business has evolved. Maybe it got acquired, whatever. All of these data points.
Yep.
And these data points are rich with marketing material,
Yes.
but advisors don't see that because they're still like in the blinders, in the pre-filtered answers, in the this is what the marketing person is probably going to say. So I'm going to say it so she thinks that I sound smart and then we can keep moving forward. But that honestly, it stalls us out. So I've learned like when I can get in financial advisor to expand their mind and think beyond the word marketing and think growth,
Yes.
alignment between person, business, environment. To
Yes.
me, that's really when things start to jive for financial advisors. So my job as the FCMO or whatever is to make sure that all of that integration is happening at the upper level, and then so that when we trickle down to the implementation, to the LinkedIn posts, to the emails, to all that stuff, everything feels coherent. And so when that person walks in, to your ecosystem of your business, they feel the soul of your business. And
Yes.
that is what brings them, it catalyzes that action. And that's really what I've been thinking about, even just in the past couple of days, like the soul of your business. That's what should be packaged and put in your marketing, not what you think should be in your marketing.
Right. Yeah. Right. Like it's that whole thing of like, what do I think somebody wants me to say? Right. And it's like, absolutely not. Like, be
No.
you, like, create the culture that you're trying to create, and the right people will come and the right people will follow. Not only that, they'll stick longer and they'll send you more referrals, right? They'll send you more business because you made that bold move. I mean, it really is a bold move because I think, being so smart, like you just really get in your head about it. You become this perfectionist, right?
Mhm. Well, like you said, especially creative people, we're like, how can this be better? Like
Yes.
how can this be better? I can see it, and like I know I can do it. So like the motivation is there, and a lot of financial advisors have that motivation too. They just lack they haven't walked through these woods as many times as we have. We're able to spot the pattern. We're able to say, hey, you thought that story about when you worked at that metalworking company wasn't important, but here's why I'm going to tell you that it
Yes.
is and why that's going to help you bring in the people that you're wanting to work with. And so I think, expect the unexpected in 2026 and beyond. Like we're in a new era. Like this is genuinely, I believe, a new timeline
Yep.
and one where we all have the ability to evolve as humans alongside technology, use it to our advantage, harness that power, and really just become more superhuman versions of ourselves in life and in business.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, thank you for all of this, Olivia. And I'll kind of end with this. From a brand perspective, we always want to make sure that when we're onboarding you, that it is a human experience. Yes, there is some technology that, some information we'll need you to fill out and things like that, right? But no, it starts with a phone call. It's a conversation, just like Olivia brought up, where we're diving in, we're getting to know you, we're getting to know your business, we're getting to understand your team, because all of those elements is what helps us bring your marketing to life and bring out those black swans, right, that are there.
Yeah. I mean that's your marketing, man. Like the thing is you might just have been missing it for a while, and that's okay because guess what? Today's a new day. And
Yes.
tomorrow's another chance to build something that's going to last a long time and you're proud of and really reflects who you are. And I think that's the name of the game, man. And I think that's what we're here to help people do.
Absolutely. We're here to help you connect the dots between people and technology, right? And
Yeah.
bringing all those things together, leveraging AI to help speed up, to help streamline some of the things that need to be streamlined. But at the end of the day, you'll have somebody there like Olivia that's looking over your shoulder, so that's helping guide you and helping put together a strategy, a plan that's seeing things, beyond what you can see in your business today. So thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time to take this call. This has been great.
I love it. I love talking to you always. It's a blast.
Yes, absolutely.